What if there were one simple practice that you could do that could take you out of years of negative beliefs and set you on track to the life of your dreams? I believe there is, and I want to share it with you here in the next few minutes. I've been reading recently the great book Letting Go by David Hawkins. And let me tell you, this book has transformed my life in so many ways. And I want to share with you a simple practice that he shares in that book that can really change the game for your life as well. By the way, guys, I'm Jim and I share this kind of content on here all the time. I am a recovering evangelical pastor. I deconstructed from all of that over the last few years of my life, reconstructed to a spiritual person without all the trappings of religion, and I am living my best life now, and I'm loving it, and you can be too. If I can help you on your journey, subscribe right down here. Give this video a like if you would not mind doing that, and leave me a comment about the journey that you are on right now to a better you. So what's the practice? Here it is, plain and simple. Take a sheet of paper and on one side, put a minus sign. On the other side, put a plus sign. That's your negative and that's your positive. Whatever negative emotion, negative thought, negative feeling that is the predominant one in your life right now, write that under the minus. Now, it might take you a little time to figure that out. It took me a little bit of searching in my soul to figure out really what my most negative emotion and fear and all of that insecurity is what it turned out to be for me was my biggest negative blockage in my life. Put that on the negative side. And on the positive side, this is going to really take some thought. Write the opposite of that emotion, that feeling, that way of thinking that you've adopted in your life. What would the opposite of that look like? Now, here's what this has done for me. I've spent some time recently evaluating what is my biggest blockage in life. And for me, it's fear and insecurity. It's a fear of not being good enough or talented enough or equipped enough to live the life of my dream. It's been that all along. It's railroaded me and blocked me in so many ways that I've only realized and come to grips with lately. But that's mine. And I started thinking, what would the opposite of that be after reading what David Hawkins said about this? And for me, the opposite of fear is courage. Some people will say it is peace. But what I love is what Jung says about this. He says basically it's knowledge. That's not the word he uses, but people who are knowledgeable in an area, they don't fear that area anymore. So the more I know and the more confident I become in what I know, the easier it is to let go of my fears. Let me share this with you. When I was a teenager, I was kind of a backwards kid all through school and high school. I was, I had friends and all that, but I was a little bit more nerdy. I was very reserved. I was very intimidated and insecure. Anybody could get at me very easily because I just thought that I was less. And that's rooted in a lot of other stuff that I think comes back to my old life of trappings of religion and all that. But that's another video for another time. So when I started first becoming an evangelical pastor back around 17, 18, 19 years old, all this started to happen in my life. This guy came to our church and he was an evangelist, a guy that traveled around and he talked, but he wasn't like any I'd ever seen. He didn't wear a suit and he wasn't an old guy. He was just a little older than me, and we went to the mall together and he just walked up and talked to people. And don't get me wrong, this is a lot of what I grew later to not like about the faith I grew up in, but he did it in a positive way. And he would just talk to people. I remember this lady walked by and she was pregnant. And he said, "You're huge." And then he went up and he started talking to her and struck up this really friendly conversation. And I thought then, that's what I want to be. And I didn't know what it was at the time, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I thought, I want to be an evangelist. I want to go out and talk to people about my faith, but it wasn't that. I wanted that ability to be free and confident. And I set that as an intention, not even knowing that I was doing that early on in my life. And do you know what happened? I have a rare gift and a rare ability that I was not born with. It developed in my life to talk to people. I've always been able to get up in front of a crowd, and it doesn't matter if it's 10 people. It doesn't matter if it's 10,000 people. With all of my insecurities and fears, I can do that. You know why? because inside of myself, I set that first as my intention, then it became my reality, and I did that my whole life, and I don't give it a second thought. And for most people, they say doing that, there's only one fear that seconds that, and that's the fear of death. That public speaking is a bigger fear than death for the average person. But for me, I just don't experience that. Why? Because I have knowledge there. I've done it so many times. I know I can do it. It's not intimidating to me. But then other things are completely intimidating to me. Starting my own business, thinking this thing's going to fail. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not smart enough to do the business side of this. I'm not capable enough to know how to connect with people, and just all these crazy things run around in our heads. So that fear for me goes away when there's knowledge, when I know I can do it. Things that I do every day in my job in sales now. When I first started sales, I was very intimidated. It was hard to get in front of people and sell a car. I was good with people, but I didn't know anything about how to sell a car. And now that I do it every day, I can do it with my eyes closed. I mean, it's because I have knowledge there. And what I am learning is find out what your driving negative emotion and feeling and thinking, way of thinking is. Write down that opposite, what it would look like. For me, like I said, it was fear and insecurity, and the opposite is peace and bliss and courage and all of that, but really it's just knowledge of figuring out how to do what I know I can do and being confident in it. And when you do those two things and you start focusing on that positive side of what could be, and you start letting go of all those things that are holding you back from it, those blockages just start to flow out of the way. Now, I've got a lot of them still in my way on my insecurities, but I'm learning to let them go one at a time and a little at a time. And as I focus on that positive side of what I know I can be and I should be, and I've cut out and designed and made to be, all of that stuff that's on that negative side fades to black, and it can do it for you as well. Tell me in the comments before you go away from this video, what do you think? Now, don't worry about your blockage right now. Share with me, what do you think is the positive emotion in your life, the positive feeling, the positive way of thinking about yourself that would just make you so happy? What would that be? Tell me in the comments, because that's what you're made for, and that's where you need to go, and you can let go of this negative side and get there. Go be great today.